Hi guys, it's been a while. Welcome to today's GIS tutorial. In today's lesson, we will learn using Qfield for field data collection. You can subscribe to this channel to follow all my previous useful GIS tips and tutorials. You can also join us at Wise GIS Special Solutions to learn more on GIS remote sensing and data collection by following this link. I will provide all useful links in the description below. So let's get started. Qfield is an open source mobile application that allows you to edit GIS projects on a mobile device. It is built with the QGIS rendering engine, so your QGIS project, including your symbology, look exactly the same in Qfield. It supports most of the formats that QGIS supports, including shapefiles and PostGIS databases, and work fully when offline. QGIS functionality include feature digitizing, geometry and attribute editing, attribute search, form customizable through QGIS, GPS support, and camera integration. Qfield supports creating and editing points, lines, and polygons. You can also configure snapping in QGIS and use it in Qfield. So we're going to be using a plugin called Qfield Sync that is going to help us be able to just package all these GIS projects into Qfield. In a previous video I did a year ago, we looked at using Qfield to collect data, but this one we actually used the offline mode. But today we are going to upgrade into how to use Qfield Cloud, because I realized recently, like a few months ago, they actually included now where you can actually collect data using Qfield Cloud. So let's go to my channel first and look at how the video is doing. So I'm going to go to my browser. I'm going to look for Wise GIS, then enter. Then I'm going to select the Wise GIS for YouTube. Then you can actually see it's one of my featured videos in my channel, and it's actually
this exercise
doing quite well. So if you're new in my channel and you want to just get a basic view of how Qfield is used in QGIS, you can actually start with this video first before you come now to the current video that I'm going to be making. So let's go to QGIS and look at today's exercise. To start this lesson, I'm going to create a new blank project, and I'm going to call this project a crop project test. Actually, this is just a test project. I'm not going to be dealing with real data. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to my plugins, and I'm going to go to my HCM plugin. Then I'm going to introduce a base map. And the base map that I'm going to be introducing is a Google satellite image. So I have actually introduced a Google satellite image. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for where my study area is going to be, or where I'm going to be doing my field work. And in this case, I'm just going to be using some random place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my plugins tab, going to go to the geocoding, and I'm going to search for Nairobi. Nairobi is my city. So I'm going to search for Nairobi, then hit enter, then wait for it to give me some results. Then I'm going to just select the Nairobi, Kenya, which is my country, and it's actually going to create a very nice marker. So I'm going to just make the symbology a bit bigger so that you can actually see the point very nicely. So this is where Nairobi is. I'm going to zoom in to Nairobi. Then I'm just going to look for an area where we can actually do a crop study. So I can actually see there's some green space here. I'm going to zoom in up to this green space here. And this can be any part of Nairobi. I'm just going to think about this as my study area, because I can see there's a lot of green, so we can do some of our test here. This is just a test project, actually not the real project that I'm actually working on right now. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have my results, I can actually remove the geocoder. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be creating our form. So actually, I'm going to be looking at this as a farm. It looks more of a golf course, but then I'm going to be thinking about this as a farm that has very many crops. And I want to just map out the different species of crops that are within this study area. So to do that, I'm going to need to create a form. So to create a form, I'm going to create a new geopackage layer. So to create a new geopackage layer, I'm going to go to layer, then create layer. Then I'm going to create a new geopackage layer. You can actually create a new shapefile layer. You can actually create whatever you want. So I'm going to create a database first. So I'm going to click on browse to save it somewhere. And I'm going to be saving it somewhere in a folder that I already created called crop monitoring project. And I'm going to say this is my test geo package. Let's just call it test geo package. So geo package. So I'm going to click on save. So the table name, I'm going to call it maybe crop. Then the geometry type that you're going to be using for these exercises, let's just use a point and select a point. Then I'm going to leave the projection that. Then now, the new fields that I'm going to create, actually going to create several numerous fields about what I want to do here with the crop. So I'm going to start with now maybe say the species name, the species of the crop. So species, it's a text data. I'm going to say the maximum length for this is 50. Then click add to field list. So it's actually added it to the fields list. Then I'm going to go to the height of the crops. Maybe I had something to measure, so I say the height in meters. In meters. Then the height in meters is going to be a decimal number because it can be 2.1, 2.2, or to just 2.0. So I'm going to make it decimal. Then the length, I'm going to just leave it like that, the way it is. You can't actually change here when it's a decimal. I'm going to click add field. So I'm actually going to add some more attributes first. Then we go to the stage of designing this form very nicely. So I'm going to add all the other attributes that I want to use in this exercise. So I'm going to go to diameter of the crops. And this is still decimal meters. Then this one can be in centimeters. So I'm going to add to lists. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is who measured it. So it's measured by. So these are the person who is actually going to be measuring or doing this field survey. And this is a text string because I'm going to be writing some names of people here. I can say maybe 50, but you are not limited to adding as much as you want. Then I'm going to say, maybe say the date measured. Then I'm going to say this is a date. It can be date and time. It's up to you to decide. I'm going to add field to list. Then I'm going to say now a photo of now the crop photo. Then I'm going to put it as a text because you're going to actually be hyperlinking all this information. I'm going to put maybe say 300 because the links can be as long as 300 characters. So I'm going to say 300, then I'm going to add field to list. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is the coordinates, right? So I'm going to start with the latitudes. Then for the latitude, I'm going to say decimal number. Then I'm going to say add to list. Then I'm going to say longitude. Still a decimal number, add to list. Then I actually have so many other things I want to do. So maybe say the date that an assessment was done. So I'm going to say the date of assessment. And then I'm going to say it's a date, add field to list. And all these are actually being added here. Then I'm going to say the condition. Maybe it's the crop is healthy or unhealthy. So I'm going to say condition. And the condition can be a text data. I'm going to say that to maybe say 50 again. Add field to lists. Then I'm going to add another one, which is if the crop is in an unhealthy condition, should we remove it? Yes or no? So I'm going to say remove crop. Then this is going to be a boolean. It's actually a yes or no question. It's actually going to be, do I remove it? If I remove it, yes, then it is unhealthy, I can remove it. Or it is healthy, I don't need to remove it. So it is going to be a boolean. Then I'm going to add field to list. So it's going to be either true or false. Then I'm going to add comments. Maybe say just a comment or a note. So comments about maybe the removal or something like that. So I'm going to say text data. I'm going to say maybe 200 because you might have very many stories to write. Add field to list. Then I'm going to now go to the removal status. And that is a text. Data, I'm going to say maybe 50. Then add field to list. Then I'm going to say urgency. How urgent is it to be removed? So urgency on a scale of maybe 1 to 10. How urgent do you need to remove it? I'm just going to say maybe for this case, I'm going to just say maybe an integer. Then maximum, I'm going to just leave it add field to list urgency. Then I'm going to give it some comments, some last comments or comments about the removal. Then for the comments, it's a text string, I'm going to say 200. Then I'm going to add it to list. So we can actually add as many fields as possible, but I think for these fields are enough just to demonstrate on how you can actually create a form that you're going to be using in your data collection. So you can actually do this for the points, for the lines, the polygons, and so on. But for now, we're just going to be using points as our example. So I'm going to click on OK. It will take some little bit of time to just process what you're doing. Then it will create our point that we're going to be using in the field data collection. So now that we have created our crop geopackage layer that we're going to be using to do the data collection, let's just look at the attribute table and see how it looks like. So I'm going to right click on the layer, open attribute table, and you can actually see it actually created an FID, which is auto-generated when you create a geopackage layer. Then there is now all these other columns that you're going to be using in just collecting this data. And you can actually see the good thing about geopackage layer, it actually allows you to write your many stories on your attribute table, like a shapefile where it's limited to very, very few characters. So the next thing you're going to do is you're actually going to customize this form so that it actually in maybe 3 or 4 groups. So to do that, I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to go to this, right click on the layer, go to properties. And now we want to actually customize this form so that it actually looks much better when we are actually just viewing our data. So to do that, we're going to go to attributes form. And in our attributes form, you can actually see we have the fields, all the fields that we have actually created, and you can actually add as many more fields as you want. But now, the current view is an auto-generated view, but we want to customize that view. Actually, an auto-generated view is not a very, very bad view, but the only downside about it is like it actually just displays all your attributes in one straight column. So let's just look at how it looks like. So I'm going to just create a dummy example here, and then we look at how our form looks like. So I'm going to click on the crop, start editing, then add point feature. Then I'm going to just assume this is my first point. I'm going to click on it, and you can actually see this is what I'm talking about. You can just see this is a very, very long straight form that has whatever we have actually created. Sometimes you have as many columns as possible, and you want to actually just cut them into small groups so that the person who is actually going to be collecting this data can just have a better view of your data, or the people who are actually just looking at this data from the office, they have a better view. So what I'm going to do is we're actually going to customize this and put this into maybe 3 or 4 groups. So let me just click on close. Then I'm going to right click on this layer again. Actually, I'm going to stop editing. Then I'm going to right click on this layer again, and I'm going to go to properties. Then we currently have under attributes form, we currently have the auto-generated view. I'm going to change this to the drag and drop design. So once I click on the drag and drop design, you can actually see all my fields are actually transferred to this other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove all of them first. I don't need to have them here first. You can actually click on this, select all, and then you just remove them. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 groups here. So I'm going to click on this green plus button here. I'm going to say group 1, group 1. And this group, I'm going to call it maybe say the crop info, the information about the crop. So crop info. Then it's going to be a tab. So I'm going to say 1. And you can actually see there's a number of columns here. You can actually put as many columns as you want. But I just want us, because we are having very few parameters here, I'm going to just have one column for now and click on OK, and I have group 1. So I'm going to create group 2 and group 3. Let's just create it very quickly. And this is the assessment, right? Because we did an assessment of the crop, so assessment. Then it's going to also be a tab. I'm going to click on OK. So we have two groups now. I'm going to add another a third group now. This tab is going to just be talking about if these crops are in a bad condition. So we might have another person recommending the removal of this crop. So I'm going to have a third group, and it's going to be group 3. You don't need to really write with a group, but just for demonstration purposes and class purposes, I'm going to use that. So group 3, I'm going to say removal info, right? So we have the three groups. Then you can have another group and say additional information if you want, and so on and so forth. But let me just leave it to three groups. So we currently have the three groups. There's group 1, there's group 2, and group 3. So I'm going to just look at some of these fields fall in which group. So for example, for the FID, I'm going to select the FID and I'm going to bring it to the crop info because it's a crop information about a crop. So I'm going to click on it, drag it to that, and you can see now the FID is within this group 1. Then the species is also still in group 1. The height in meters, I'm going to put it inside the same group. And I had a misspelling here, but there's not a problem. Then there is the diameter. Then there is measured by who measured this crop, so it's still under crop information. The date measured, it went to the wrong group, so I'm going to just remove it from that. Date measured. Then the photo of the crop, I'm going to add it there. Then the latitude and the longitude, I'm going to include them in that first group. And that finishes my first group. So I'm going to go to the second group, which is the assessment. And you can see the date the assessment was done is here. So I'm going to include the assessment information in the second group. I'm going to say date of assessment here, the condition, the removal, is it supposed to be removed or not? Then the comments. If you have any other comments that you want to add in the removal settings, you can actually add it there. And you can actually see now we have two groups. The first group is the crop information. The second group is the date of assessment. Now, we're going to go to the last group here. And this last group, I'm going to explain to you later on the significance of it. So I'm going to just select the first one, which is removal status, add it to that. The urgency, how urgent is the removal. Then I'm going to just add the last one, which is the comment. And maybe if the removal status, if there was removal, you can still add a photo here and so on and so forth. I'm going to add so many other information. So this is just enough for now. And now we have group 1, group 2, and group 3 very, very nicely layout. So I'm going to click on apply, then OK. And now let's go and create another layer and see how now whatever we have done works. So I'm just going to select this crop, start editing, then add feature. Then I'm going to click on this. And right now, if you look at this now, it has actually subdivided our attribute table into three groups. There's a group 1, group 2, and group 3. And like the other one, which was just the auto-generated one, which was straight, this one is actually in three groups. And this is very, very good for viewing, especially when you're looking at the data just in the office. So the next thing you want to do is you want to also still customize, because I can actually see, according to our attribute table here, we have some things that actually can be auto-filled, and it can actually help the person who is in the field to just have an easy time. So I'm going to go again to the properties, and I'm going to start with for the FIDs auto-generated, so it will just give the information directly. So let's go to the species, and I'm going to expand this, and then I'm going to go to the species. So now I can actually use this. So the species, there are different kinds of species. Now maybe let me just give examples of species, but now I don't want it to be a text edit. I want to change this widget type. Right now, the way it is, anyone can just enter any kind of text, but I also want to help the person. If, like, for example, you're going to get species, like, for example, let's say cassava, and the cassava is being repetitive, so you don't need to type every time cassava, cassava, cassava. It just gives you some autofills options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it from a text edit to maybe say unique value. Then I'm going to make sure it's editable, because sometimes maybe you want to, under the unique value, you want to also add another species that might not be within the species that you had already identified. So that is also very, very important. So I'm going to let it be editable. Then I'm going to click on apply. Then, okay, you can actually add a default value, the one that you want to actually be just looking at as soon as you click on start editing. So I'm going to say apply, okay. And I'm going to create the first point again. I'm going to click on the yellow pencil again to start editing, then click on the add point feature. Then I'm going to click on this, and actually you can see there is currently nothing. So I'm going to just say something like, say, cassava. Then I'm going to say okay. Then I'm going to go to another area, and then I'm going to say maize. Maize. Then I'm going to say okay. So I've actually created 2 points. Let me just make the symbol a bit bigger. Symbology. That is a good symbol. So I have the two. I'm going to also make sure that they are show labels for these, and I'm going to also customize that a bit. Create a buffer around the text. We put the text to be red, and maybe 13, that is okay. Okay, and you can actually see this is the maize, the cassava. Then I'm going to click on the next one here. I'm going to call these beans, and so on. And you can actually see now it's actually just accepting you to have these randomized species. So I'm going to say this is broccoli. Broccoli, and so on. So one thing you might have noticed is that when I click on the next one and then I just type letter B here, it will actually give me some two uh, suggestions. So that's the essence of actually customizing the species to unique values, because it is actually just going to be helping you with some suggestions that you already have, and also you can actually add some other suggestions, like maybe, for example, if this is not broccoli, but maybe say something like, maybe say uh, a bamboo, then you can actually see it actually keeps that suggestion. So you can actually see it just is going to now give you the suggestions, but then you can actually type something else. So I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on another area, and then I'm going to say B again. And now you'll see we have 3 suggestions: bamboo, beans, and broccoli. So that's the essence of actually having this. But then this one can be maybe banana. Let's just say banana. And it will be added into the suggestion. So it's very, very important that you use the unique value, and it's actually going to be helping your field data collection officers just make easy decisions. So those are some of the things you can actually do using the unique value. Let's go back now and look at how we can actually customize the others very quickly. So I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to go to the second one. We have actually dealt with the species. You can actually enforce and say this is mandatory and so on and so forth, but then we're going to be uh, using that. So height in meters is okay. Then we're going to go to the next one, which is the diameter is in centimeters, is okay. Measured by, you can actually have a pre-filled out form that has the names of all the people who are going to be doing the data collection. Then you add them as value maps if you want. Then value maps. Then you're going to say, maybe say the first value, which is number 1, is going to be Mr. Wiseman, Wise GIS. The second person is John. The third person is Mary. The fourth person is going to be collecting this data is Peter. And the fifth person may be, say, Jen. Number 5, Jen. So you can have only those 5 data collectors that you just want to be within your work area. So I'm going to say we are going to be using a value map. Then click on apply, okay. And then when I click now on editing, start editing, so I'm going to add another point here. You'll see we have measured by here, and you can see we have Wise GIS, John, Mary, Peter, and gen, and you also have a null value here. So you can actually just be able to select. So I'm going to say species banana, and you can see it gives me the suggestion for the unique value. And then when I go and say height in meters, I'm going to say 22.3 meters. That is a very tall banana. Then I'm going to say the diameter of the banana is 34.5. Then I'm going to say is Mary who actually took, who actually measured this. Then the date measured, you can see it actually gives us a date. Then the photo, we're going to work on that now. So I'm going to just click on cancel. Then let's go to the photo option, properties again. Then we're going to go first to the date, because you don't want the person to be able to edit the date, and it just need to be entered automatically. For the date, I'm going to say it's not editable, and I'm going to put a expression for the default value, and I'm going to say let it take the current date, so the day that the person is going to be collecting the data, which is going to be now. It's written that way, so I'm going to have that date look like that. So today is on the 7th or the 4th of May, so I'm going to click on apply. Okay, and then let's look at how it looks like now. When I'm clicking on another place now, you can see the date, it comes automatically. You can't actually edit it. So that is also very good customization. So then I'm going to go to the next one, which is the photo. And for the photo, I'm going to just say it's a text, but I'm going to change it from text to attachment. Then I'm going to go to the path where the photo can be stored. I'm going to say relative to path, relative to path. Then I'm going to scroll down. Then I'm going to say use hyperlinks. Then I'm going to say an image under the integrated document viewer image. Then for the width and the height, I'm going to say 400 by maybe say 300 pixels. That's the size of the image I want to see. Then I'm going to click on apply, and we are going to look at that later on, how it looks like. I'm going to go to the next one, which is the latitude. For the latitude, I don't want someone to be able to edit, so I'm going to remove the editable one, and I'm going to go down here under default values. I'm going to say I want it to be $. Why? Because it's latitude, right? Latitude is $Y, so it's going to give just a small preview of how the latitude looks like. I'm going to click on apply. Then I'm going to go to the longitude, and you guessed it, I'm going to make sure it's not editable again, and I'm going to go to the default value, and I'm going to say this is $X, which is the longitude. And then I'm going to click on apply. Then I'm going to click on OK. Let's look at how our form looks like now. I'm going to click on another point here, and I'm going to look at, and you can actually see now the photo is null because there's no photo that we've actually taken, but now it's in a view of a photo. Then the latitude and the longitude have actually automatically come. So that is the essence of having them not editable. I'm going to click on cancel. Then we go to the next group. So I'm going to right click again on the layer, go to properties, so that you can actually access now. You can actually do a customization of the next group, which is group 2. So you're done with group 2. Group 1, done. So I need to go to group 2. And in group 2, we have the date of assessment. I can say maybe also the same thing. It's not editable. And I'm going to just say the default value of these is going to be now. Apply. Then you're going to go to the condition. And for this one, we're going to use a value map. And we only have maybe two values. Value 1, which is healthy, and value 2, which is unhealthy. Then I'm going to say apply. So you can actually add your constraints here, and it should not be null and so something like that. But I'm not going to put any constraints here for now. Click on apply. Then I'm going to go to the next one now. Remove crop. If you want to remove the crop, you actually want to remove it from the farm or the field or your project area. So you only have, you can see it, actually it's already a checkbox. So it's going to be a boolean, right? And for a boolean, we're going to have either a true or false. So for removal, when you click on the checkbox, it says you are removing the copy. You have actually authorized it to be removed. And if you leave it blank, then it's actually not for removal. So it's actually a true or false value. So I'm going to click on apply. Then I'm going to go to the comments. It's comments is just going to be adding so many comments in that. I click on apply again. Then I'm going to go to now the last group that we have here. Now that we have our last group here, first let's look at one thing that actually distinguishes this group from these other groups. So in our case, if you have said you want the crop to be removed, now you'll go and add this information. But if the crop is not being removed, then you don't need to actually put input anything here, because actually the crop is okay. It doesn't need to be removed. So for this one here, for this group here, we're now going to now limit it. We're now going to limit or control the visibility of this group. So you're going to say we're going to control this visibility by selecting the group first. Then this group is going to be visible only when the person says the crop should be removed under the Boolean value. So I'm going to say control visibility by expression. Then I'm going to write an expression. So I'm going to click on this expression sign symbol here. And I'm going to go to fields and values. And I'm going to say this is going to be applied only when remove crop is equal to true, because you have true and false, right? So I'm going to say true. It's only going to be applicable when remove crop is going to be true. So I'm going to give it a single quote to make it a complete expression. So when you say the remove crop is equals to true, that is according to our options that we have, then this column will display. So I'm going to click on OK. And for that, now let's test it and see how it looks like. So I'm going to click on apply first. Then okay, now we're going to create another layer here again. So I'm going to click on my space here again, click on it, and you can actually see now it has actually changed these into two groups. We don't have actually the third group because we have not yet filled anything here to make it include the third group. So I'm not going to fill anything here because none of these is mandatory. I'm going to go to the second group, and in the second group you're saying the data assessed, you can see it's today because you can't actually edit it. Then the condition now is maybe say healthy. You can see we have the two options plus the null, so healthy. Then remove crop. Once I say please remove this crop, now the third group appears. So you can actually add some information about the removal status, the urgency, and the comments. So that's ideally what we have done is we have actually made sure that the visibility of this third group is dependent on whatever you answer in the second group in regards to the removal status of this crop. Should it be removed or not? And if I just remove the check so that the crop is not being removed because it is healthy, then this group disappears. So realistically, I'm supposed to say unhealthy, then because it's an unhealthy crop, you can't actually remove it. Maybe you can remove a healthy crop because it's maybe a hazard or something like that. So I'm going to say condition is unhealthy, and then it needs to be removed. Now the third group appears. So that is it about creating this form. So I'm going to click on cancel because I don't want to create that point first for now. I'm going to go to now my groups here, properties. And actually, we've actually gone to the third group, and we've been able to customize the third group only to be able to just show when the value here is true. And it can be as much as you can actually do a lot of validation in this, but because of just simple demonstration, you're not going to be having more than that. So the removal status, you can actually customize it to whatever you want in this value map, value relation, and so on and so forth. Now for the urgency, we're going to, because we actually chose the range as a widget, we're going to make sure that it's not editable, but it's like a slider or a dial. You can actually have these two other options. So let's just use a slider here. And then let's say the minimum value that you're going to be saying is 1. So it's from a scale of 1 to maybe say 10. It can be a percentage. It can be 1 to 100. Then the steps are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to just leave it at one step. Then I'm going to click on apply. Then okay, let's look at how it looks like now. Click on this crop, and you can see we don't have the third group, so I'm going to click on the second group first. Click remove crop. Then I'm going to say add info, and you can actually see now the agency has something like a slider. So you can actually slide and say on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe say 7. I'm going to just say on a scale of 8, that is how urgent it needs to be removed. So that is all about now using the range in QGIS. You can actually change it to that, to something different. So let's just change it and see how it looks like. Properties. Then you go to urgency. Then instead of a slider, let's use a dial. Then use the same values 1 to 10. Then apply OK. And then go to create our very nice point here. Click on it. Then go to the second group because we need to have it removed so that you can have actually that. And you can see this is a dial, and you can actually just move it round like that. So you can actually give your data collector some very nice fancy way of actually just having this data collected. So that is it. And then the comment, someone can add as much information as they want. You can leave it to be a note and so on and something like that. So I'm going to just leave that to this. So I'm going to click on cancel, and let's just now test our form now and see how it looks like. So I'm going to click on crop, start editing, add point feature. Then I'm going to add now another point feature. I'm going to zoom in up to this, and I'm going to just test it. I'm going to click on this, and it is going to tell me the species. I'm going to say banana. So when I click on B, it gives me some of the options. I'm going to say banana. So you can now see it's very easy, no typos, no nothing. So the number of meters is 20.1 meters tall, banana. The diameter is maybe 34.4 centimeters, very thin banana. Then I'm going to go to measured by, I'll say John. The date, can't actually do anything about it. For the picture, you can actually add it from maybe say somewhere on your computer, but you have to do it practically. So I'm just going to just put any kind of picture that I have available here, and I'm going to just add any kind of photo here, like maybe say this, and you can actually see this is just a simple photo of that I had on my computer. Then I'm going to go to the next option, which is group assessment. Then the kind of date of assessment is also still the same time and same date. Then condition, I can say it's very healthy, so I don't need to tick remove crop, and I'm going to say this is a healthy demo class, right? So that's what you can actually write, anything that you want to write there. Then I'm going to just say okay, because it's not giving me the third option. I'm going to click on OK, and you can actually see it's created a banana here. So I'm going to go to another one here, click on that. Species, I'm going to say beans. You can see it already gave me an option here. Then meters, I'm going to say maybe say 0.2 meters. Then the diameter in centimeters, I'm going to say this is 1.2 centimeters. Then measured by, let's say QGIS. Then the photo, I can add another photo. I can just look for another photo. Then I'm going to say maybe that one, open. I can actually see that's a photo, a very nice photo. Then I'm going to just go to the assessment stage. Then I'm going to go to condition and healthy, and then remove the crop. And you can actually see immediately say remove the crop. It actually gives me the third option. I'm going to say class demo with a comment. Then I'm going to say go to the third one, and you can actually see now the removal setters. I'm going to say removed because it has already been removed. Then the agency was maybe say in a scale of 1 to 10, maybe say 7. Then the comment, I'm going to say maybe it was removed because it was infested with diseases. So crop diseases. So you don't want it to infect the other crops. Then I'm going to say okay, and it actually created the beans there. that was actually removed. So let's now look at how our form looks like when we click on our identify feature tool. I'm going to click on the identify feature tool. Then I'm going to click on the bins, and you can actually now see very nice view of how our data looks like. So although this is not a photo of a crop, but just took it from my computer, I'm going to do that very practically. Then you can actually see there is this assessment info, and then there is the removal status, and all this information can actually be previewed on this view. So that is it about creating forms that we are going to be using in Qfield. In our next lesson, you're going to now learn how to now connect whatever we have actually done here into Qfield. That's it for today's exercise. If you found this video useful and you want to learn more on QGIS, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'm just happy you're here. See you in my next video.